Yesterday I got myself a PS3 Slim to basically make my whole PS3 collection. I got a Fat, a Slim, and now a Super Slim. As you can tell by the title of this video, this thing is desperately needing of cleaning. Also, the thermal paste is very much cooked. If I play GTA 5 on this thing, the GPU will go to like 80 something C, and the fans would kick in. And just idling here on the webman mod thing, it's idling at 70 C, or in American Freedoms 170. So it's a little warm. Surprisingly though, the CPU is relatively well within check even when gaming, so at the very least I don't need to delid the CPU. When it comes to the GPU in this thing, you don't even have to delid it because it's direct tied to the heatsink and whatnot. So with that said, I'm going to now take this thing apart and I'm going to clean it up and whatnot because it desperately needs it. And the runtime is, I want to say low for this thing, but I'm not that knowledgeable on runtimes for these things, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And now I'm going to pull this thing apart and whatnot. I'm not going to do a tutorial on it because I don't know how to properly do it, so I'll come back when I actually get this thing pulled apart. There are YouTube videos out there that more properly show this done, and I'll just leave those videos for those people that are more knowledgeable than me. I don't know what it is with the pony systems, but they always have dead bugs in them. It's not as bad as a PS3 Fat I took apart a while ago, but there's still dead bugs in this thing. Every single Sony pony system has bugs in it. It's nasty. Alright, got the motherboard out, and the thermal paste is actually still somewhat liquidy. So it doesn't really seem like it was necessary to do this, but I'm still going to do it anyways, especially considering I'm already at this point. So with that said, I'm going to clean everything up and put everything back together, and I will come back. The heat sinks are relatively clean and spotless. For something that's been ran for a semi-short time, it's relatively cleanish. I mean, this fan here is a little dusty, but that's to be expected, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's just covered in bugs. So, again, I'll clean the thing up and come back. Alright, cleaned as much of the inside I can, and I got rid of all the bugs. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to try and clean up this panel right here. You can see I cleaned up a good chunk of it already. It's still pretty nasty, but I'm going to try and make it a little bit more better. When it comes to these little plastic panels, I'm actually spray painting them matte black because, well, I hate gloss plastic. So I'll try and clean all this up and come back when I actually go to put the whole thing back together. I already tested to make sure that everything still works, it still powers on, still reads discs and whatnot. So like I said, I'll come back in a little while when I go to fully put this thing back together or when it's back together. I decided to turn the thing on for a bit and run GTA 5 to monitor temperatures. Now yes, it is still rising, which is to be expected, but it's not hitting 80 C right out of the gate like it used to be. So the real question is, what will this thing idle at when it's actually said and done? With that also said, I can already tell the fan speed is definitely significantly lower than it was originally too, so we're definitely good there because normally it'll be around like 30. But with that said, I'll just let this run for a bit. It's been up for a while and the temperatures seem relatively fine. They're not in the 80s like they used to be. And if I want to bring everything down a little bit more, I can bump the fan to like 30%. And it should theoretically keep the temperatures even more cooler, but again, as it currently stands, I'm quite happy with the temperatures. When it comes to the junk on this thing, there really is not much I can do. It's just so baked into the plastic. So I cleaned up as much as I could. I used alcohol and whatnot, so it's germ-free more or less. But it's going to look ugly. But then again, this is a Free Geek buy, and I expect stuff like that from Free Geek as well. It's a recycling center. So, again, for $60, I'm fairly happy with this little guy. Alright, sorry about the lighting change, but the spray paint's now dried off more or less where I could put it on back on the console, and generally speaking, it came out relatively fine. Obviously, the scratching on the plastic is still very much noticeable, but it's not glossy black like it was, and it generally looks fairly nice. The only thing that doesn't look nice, obviously, is lid right here, and unfortunately, there's really nothing I can do about that. I mean, I tried deep cleaning the snot out of this thing for a while, but you only get so far, and I think these things are like permanently stained. Now, with that said, if I can figure out how to mask all this off without damaging like the gearing and whatnot, which is like right here, I would actually spray paint this matte black also, but I kind of want to keep it this way to kind of keep the aesthetic because again, this is a Free Geek PS3 Slim, and I kind of like the beating up aspect of it. I mean, all that really matters is does it work, and it works completely fine. So this is more just an aesthetic and whatnot. That again, it kind of sucks, but at least it works, so I can't complain there. Alright, it is now the next day. I got the PS3 set up and I'm actually going to keep it this way because I have other PS3s but they're a little too big for my setup, while the Slim here, or Super Slim, is the right size. With that said, I'm making an ISO of the box standard GTA 5, so I'm going to let that do its thing and then I'm going to start loading this thing up with all the other games I want to play on this thing. I mean, it's a PS3, you gotta have GTA 5. Let's be honest, everyone's played GTA 5 at this point. Alright, some time has passed. I've loaded a few more games on it. And what I'm doing now is I'm just going to play a little bit of Killzone or maybe idle in certain areas that I can idle. And I want to see what the temperatures are like. As you can see right now, I've been running it for about 15 minutes, give or take. And the temps are definitely rising, which is to be expected. But what I want to see is, will the fans kick to 100% like it did when I was playing GTA 5? For reference, before I took it all apart and I believe even started doing this video, I actually had the fan go to 100% full fan speed playing GTA 5 for about maybe 40 minutes or so, maybe an hour or so. So at that point, I was like, yeah, I definitely need to get thermal paste reapplied. And I think I even jailbroke it like either right after or right before. I can't remember which because it's been a few days. And I noticed the GPU was pretty stinking hot, and yeah. So with that said, let's just see what happens. And considering I've been idling here for nearly 15 minutes and the temperatures are still rising, I think it's safe to say I can just leave it like this for an indefinite amount of time and see what happens with the attempts. So I'll come back a little later, I guess. Alright, I forgot how annoying this game is. And generally speaking, temperatures are well within check. Would I like it to be running a little bit more cooler? Yes. And to do that, I can run it at 30%. But let's be honest, I'm probably really not going to play much of Killzone considering how annoying this game is. It's graphically an amazing looking game. But the actual mechanics like the gun shooting and whatnot and the AI is kind of annoying. So with that said, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I'm happy I finally have myself a PS3 Slim, especially considering I can actually place this PS3 Slim somewhere in my room. That way, so if I want to use it, I can just turn it on instead of having to literally move stuff out of the way to allow me to use it, which is something I do with the other ones. Which, like I've posted before, or at least I've uploaded before, I have a backwards compatible FAT. I don't think this is a first generation backwards compatible. It's like a second generation backwards compatible, and a Slim. These games, just using any of these two, I have to literally move stuff out of the way because they're so ungodly big. But like I said, since I have that Slim now, I can actually use or play my PS3 games. Alright, here's where I'm going to end the video. I decided to load up GTA 5 again and have the fans at 230% like I mentioned with Killzone. And generally speaking, the temperatures are really well within check. I would like the GPU to be in the 60s, but there's really only so much I can do. With that said, I can make it get into the 60s, but then at that point it'll be ludicrously loud, and it is a little noisy as it stands right here. But compared to like the Fat or the Slim I got, this thing is, from what I could tell, far more quieter. So with that said, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I got myself a PS3 Super Slim finally, and I'm actually able to use it now relatively fine, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. I've been doing this for a couple of days now, and I'm losing my mind. So I'll just stop the video here and upload it.